Friday. We are just finishing up week 6, and this is day 17. Introduction to Computers. Talked about spreadsheets at the beginning. We finished up the unit on software. We actually finished up software details and the unit completion. That's unit 3. And then they did some more spreadsheet group work. I maybe overemphasized how important managing data is nowadays and how spreadsheets can allow us to do that, especially in what-if analysis. That was the first big issue. Do not make extra columns to do what-if analysis. Adjust the values that you have stored, and those are probably copied as absolute values down in the formulas. Adjust those and look at the results. Okay. We also talked a little bit about the course transfers to UNI for their management course that has to do with Introduction to Computers and Information Systems also. And it's important, they expect the students coming from NIAC to have a solid foundation when it comes to spreadsheets when they show up down there. That's why it's so important to understand the fundamental things like relative and absolute addressing, rounding, and then using the specific functions in the spreadsheet. Students should be working on a project, and remember to put the name, date, etc. in the sheet. Okay. We're done talking about the details of hardware. We really relate to that as the course moves on, but we're pretty much done with the details of hardware. And so here we talked about the operating system, this layer that communicates with the hardware, and then we have our apps that typically communicate with the operating system, not entirely, but most of the time. Then we have the user, us, you and me. People tend to want to communicate with the apps either through a user interface, and part of the user interface that brings value to the device and the software is the UX, the user experience. So, if we were to look at these again, we have hardware. Operating system communicates with the hardware. The apps communicate with the operating system. The users communicate with the apps. And of course in here we want you to become a little more of an expert, which allows you to do a little bit more at all the levels. System, software. We divide it into two parts, the operating system and utilities. We did some work with utilities, I believe on Wednesday. Talk a little bit today or here on Friday about device drivers. This is software that allows a device from one vendor to communicate with a device from another vendor. You can have an HP printer talking to a Dell computer, so to speak. So, I guess operating systems today, we talked a little bit about different types. Just briefly, Unix, Linux, Windows, iOS, Android. And there are a lot more than these, but these are the ones we talked about. Mac. One thing you'll notice, the students even mentioned this too, Mac is pretty much a Linux version. The Android is pretty much a takeoff from a Linux operating system. Windows, it's its own proprietary, and iOS proprietary to the portable devices from Apple. Way back when we had the Apple IIe's, and in 1984, I believe, the Mac computers came out. At that time, this was all proprietary. The only printer that would work with these computers, these Apple computers, was an image writer. Had to buy it from Apple. Slowly that's changing. Slowly that's changing. Alright, so what we need to do, you should be finishing up the unit. Unit 3 should be all done. Spreadsheets. Here, let me clear that up a little bit. Spreadsheet project. Be working on that. Should have finished up the spreadsheet assignment. And next week, Unit 4. It's a shorter unit. We talk about multimedia and those type of things in technology. That's it.